Thank you. So, first introduced, it's been 20 years this weekend. Next weekend, my son is 20. So the last time I was here in your presence was 20 years ago. So it's framed, intentionality has framed everything in my life. And I am so grateful. And I see, oh gosh, so many amazing things that I've aligned with. And I recognize that there are times when I bump into my own glass ceilings, and times when I'm in learning to move from 3 to 4 to 5 really well. And other times when I like the debate or like the argument.
That's all right, because those are step one moments. Let us just say this to you. You're going to like this. You do all your thinking in step one. Ooh. You do all your thinking in step one. I think this and I want that and I don't like that, and that's when you do all of your thinking. When you're in step 3, you're in the receiving mode. You're in the translating mode. And so it's wonderful to have step 1 moments. But when you came, you really intended to spend about 10% of your life in step 1 and 90% of your life in step 3. And most humans have flipped that. So you spend all your time justifying and defending and debating and practicing a vibration that ultimately doesn't serve you. And then occasionally you get blissed out and distracted and something good happens for a minute. And then you think, oh, that's a wondrous thing. And we want to say that could be a steady thing. It's normal for you to feel satisfaction, 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 satisfaction. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in a more general way that will make it easier for you to hear. When you think a thought, then the thought thinks. Just thought we'd throw that in. Because thoughts are vibration, and vibration is affected by law of attraction. And so really what a thinking of a thought is an increasing of it because of law of attraction. And so once you focus on a thought, it's going to think more. And you're going to be a participant in it, which means you're observing it and, as you say, debating it. And so what we're getting at is it's just wonderful. We know that there can be some satisfaction in getting clear. We said earlier, if you don't have a really clear question, you're not ever going to feel the satisfaction of a really clear answer. Just don't get carried away. Often you feel defensive. It's like you're trying to defend your position against someone else. And what we really want to convey is that in doing that, you are defending against yourself. You are shooting your own self in the foot. And so even a remark like, I bump up against a glass ceiling. Well, there's no glass ceiling except the one you put there. Nobody else is coming in and putting glass ceilings in your experience. Only you are. And you can blame it on anybody that you want to, but you're the only one who has the ability to put any resistance in your experience.
Yes. Yeah. I want to get to where I'm at that place where before I sabotage myself, before I bump up into my own creative.
So you want some pre-manifestational awareness rather than post-manifestational awareness. Then you got to care about how you feel. And you got to be willing to guide your thoughts by the way they feel, rather than letting the momentum of them get big enough, and now you've got this big thing that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch that now you're trying to change.
Yes. And even when I've manifested the thing that I carried away with, I want to love it. I want to go, ooh, okay, not what I want. Let me pivot. Let me realign. And there's still some lack of mastery there.
You're becoming more and more of a master of it, but let's consider it in this way. So let's say that you got ahead of yourself, and rather than following impulses, you got a little motivated and you made a mess of something. And now you're not very happy in this mess. But you say, I want to love this mess. And we want you to too, because in every particle of the universe, there's wanted and unwanted. And out of knowing what you don't want, there is knowing what you do want. And that is of such value. So if you can begin to develop habits, and over time you will, especially through meditation, of not being mad at yourself about the mess, about not being so interested in taking score. You know, it's this manifested world. Let's see if we can find a way to unravel this a little bit for all of you, because it's a little bit tricky. You came because you like to create, And therefore it follows that you like manifestation, because manifestation is the furthest reaching of creation. Manifesting is a big deal, because these are thoughts that have turned all the way to things and experiences. These are just not ideas and concepts. These are material objects. These are bodies and relationships and things. In other words, this manifested world matters. It's big. It matters to you. And that's why you all are here creating it, and it matters to us too. That's why we're assisting you in the creation of it. So you said, I'll go forth into a physical body where resistance is a lot, and out of it, I will think my way into new things that I want, and I will launch rockets of desire. I'll clarify what would be a better world for me. And we said, and we will remain non-physically focused and resistance free. And once you lob the rocket of desire over here, we'll focus upon it, and we'll focus it into being. We will focus it into a vibrational reality that law of attraction will respond to. And law of attraction will then begin to gather the cooperative components to the idea that you have launched. And then you said, and I will keep myself in close enough alignment to you that I will receive the ideas that I'm ready to receive, so that together we can take this new concept all the way home together. That was big. We liked it whether you did or not. So, here you are, constantly in the process of putting more in the vortex for the purpose of all of that. So it's this constant refurbishing, constantly re-becoming. It's this newness. It's this new becoming. It's this replenishing process constantly. Well, humans quite often get yourself out of sync with the process, because you come, you sift and sort, you know what you don't want, you launch the rocket of desire. Source energy, law of attraction, and your inner being take off on this, and it gets bigger and bigger, but you keep often focusing on where you are, taking score of what is, and you don't allow yourself to be the cooperative component that gets to get in on all of this. So you keep creating things that have the potential of so much satisfaction, but you hold yourself in dissatisfaction because you're wanting to see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it before you're ready for that. Does that make sense to you? It would be like you take a kernel of corn and you put it in the ground. You're a farmer. You know what you're doing. You've made the ground ready. You have fertilized it and moistened it, and you put the kernel of corn in it, and the next morning you go out and say, "Where are you?" You're supposed to be ready for dinner today, so you just dig it up and eat it. Well, you don't do that, because you know there's a gestation process. It would be like conceiving a baby and then wanting to give birth tomorrow. No, give it a chance. Give it a chance to become. And so there is this gestation process on all of the things. You have to be ready to perceive it. You have to be ready to receive it. And so it isn't the way you've been thinking that it is. It isn't about demanding the universe give it to you. It's about preparing yourself to perceive it, to receive it. And there is such pleasure in the ongoing unfolding of your perception. Are we too out into the vibrational ethers for you? Or are you getting what we're talking about? So we'll give it to you in even more blunt terms. When you look at what is and only at what is can't change. Because you're filling your vibration only up with what is. So it can't be more. So you keep launching rockets of desire, but you don't look in the direction of the desire. You keep looking at what is and looking at what is and taking score of what's already manifested. And when you're just taking score of what's already manifested, nothing new or different can manifest. So you want to keep looking at the things that you want to keep perpetuating. Keep appreciating your planet and your relationships and your lovely things that you want more of. That's the way they sustain. If there's a house that's abandoned, it falls apart. But if there's a house that someone's focused upon, it stays together. These are laws of the universe, you see. And so give your attention to the things that you want to perpetuate, and withdraw your attention from things you don't want to perpetuate. But you can't withdraw your attention from anything. You can only give your attention to something. So as you launch that rocket of desire, ooh, that feels good to think about that. And then you think about what you want and why you want it. You hold yourself in a place where the satisfaction can continue to grow. But if you're taking score, I see that I have as many bills today or more than I had yesterday, and there's no more money flowing in, and this isn't working for me, and I have glass ceilings that I can't overcome, or whatever it is, then you hold yourself in the place that you don't want to be. But you don't really hold yourself, because your dissatisfaction is causing you to launch more rockets. And so what happens is you launch a rocket that you don't line up with, which causes you to launch another rocket of desire that you don't line up with, but it causes you to launch another rocket of desire. So what we're saying is, if you don't get going in the direction of what you want, your dissatisfaction is going to get greater and greater and greater, because you cannot stop observing, and you cannot stop thinking, you cannot stop step one-ing, you cannot stop launching the rockets. Your inner being will not stop answering them. Law of attraction will not stop responding to them. Law of attraction and all that you want over here in this vibrational reality will not stop calling you. And if you don't go, you're going to get more and more unhappy with life as time goes by. Ringing any bells? If people can convince you that what's coming to you is based only upon what you've let come so far, then nothing good's ever going to come. And that's the way a lot of people are looking at life. What makes you think you can do that? You've never done that. Because I've got a vortex that's doing it, and an inner being that's calling me, and a guidance system that lets me know, and the feeling of satisfaction. That's how I know. Don't tell them. They won't hear. They won't understand. But now you know, don't you? Yeah.
The piece of this that I want some clarity around is, I recognize when I'm in the flow of next level, next level, next level for me. I also recognize when I'm
not call it a level. Let's call it more satisfaction, more satisfaction, more satisfaction. Because even in the levels, and we're doing that a little, there is an awareness that you've got ground to cover before you get there. And in the awareness that you've got ground to cover before you get there, there's an awareness that I'm not there yet. And in the awareness that I'm not there yet, you're slowing yourself way down. So if you can be happy about where you are, that makes such a difference. We know we're stretching your mind. We're asking you to not need what you want in order to be happy. We're asking you to let where you are have enough juice in it for you to be happy. It's the now. It's the now that's the manifestation. In other words, when you do manifest it, it's just going to be another manifestation. But now's the manifestation. Right now, you're rendezvousing with thoughts and conversation and ideas, and there's plenty of satisfaction within it, and then more and more and more and more and more. And the more you allow more rendezvous with more things, the more exhilarated, the more passion you're going to feel, the more opportunity to play with more people, the more exposure to the more life that you'll have. And every manifestation that you want must come. It must. It is law. It must come. But you've got to stop dragging your foot, because it's slowing you down.
When it comes to aligning for a greater good, or just owning my own vibration.
Aligning for a greater good.
If we look at more satisfaction. So just knowing that, for example, the man that's running our country was supposed to be. He's supposed to be here because, if I'm the only one in the world, my desire for something greater.
There's just one thing that we want to stick in here. There's no one running your country. And we don't mean that there's someone that should be that isn't. There's no one that's running the country. It's collective consciousness that is responsible for everything. And to assign it to one person or to a body of people and hold them responsible while you all are having your thoughts all over the place, no wonder you feel powerless.
And that's exactly it. I want to know where I can get myself in alignment. So I'm like, this is exactly my part in this. Own it, and then shift it, pivot it, knowing that if what we're really looking for is a more aligned, giving, loving
here's the
experience.
Thing. So let's say that there are a few billion of you who are observing and feeling dissatisfaction in one way or another. So you have created one whopper of a vibrational reality. So your potential for joyous co-creating on this planet is unfathomable. You can't even conceive of it. You're not close enough to the receiving mode to even be able to acknowledge the joyful probability that is there for you. The majority of the dissatisfaction that you are feeling, no matter what side of what argument you are on, is not because you oppose a Republican or you are fighting against a Democrat. It's because you are using them to fight against yourself. It's because collectively you have created a vibrational reality with all this potential that in the moment of your dissatisfaction, you are depriving yourself of.